Hi, it's Sari. Just a quick post or quick something that I wanted to say because I said I keep popping on and giving some little hints and tips around anxiety. So I've just got a little something else I want you to think about here. And some people might not like this or like me saying this. And it's not intended to come across as critical. So please don't take it that way. But what I'm wanting to say is, if your child is anxious or stressed or behaving in a certain way or whatever it is, it's really important for you to think and to ask yourself, what is it that you're bringing to the party? And that's because you don't go to a party empty-handed. Nobody does. We all bring something to it. And it's exactly the same with our kids. I know that sometimes when my daughter is anxious or stressy, what I bring to the party is stress in return. Anxiety can almost seem at times like it's a little bit catching. I mean, I've worked with private clients where somebody's been highly anxious and 2 hours after the session, I'm sat there thinking, oh, I feel really anxious. You know, we can really get a sense from somebody of anxiety and it can instill a little bit of panic in us. So that's likely to happen with your children as well. So you know, there's lots of situations where with your children you can think, well, it's because of school or it's because of, I don't know, their dad, or it's the way their grandparents are, or it's the way their friends are that they hang out with. And that might be true. They are picking up stuff from lots of different people around them. But I hate to say it, but you're wasting your energy because you cannot change anybody else. You know, you could go into school and have a word with the teachers, and you could, and there's some situations I would really recommend that you do that. But you have no control over anybody else's or your child's really way that they behave. You can influence them, but you're not controlling it. You can only control yourself. So as hard as it is sometimes, and you know, another thing, when I work with young people, one of the hardest things often to get through with them is for them to be open with how they're feeling or what annoys them about their parents or what it is that they make sense of the world that might come from the parents, because they're so defensive, because they feel really bad even considering that their parents might do something that is not that beneficial for them. But the harsh reality is, and I always say this to my younger clients, is we all make mistakes. You cannot possibly be a parent and go through life as a parent and not make mistakes. Honestly, anyone that says they do, I'm sorry, and this is what you might not like, you tell him fibs. If you're saying that you are not making any mistakes or not influencing your children in any way at all that might be slightly negative at times, then you're lying. Or you don't have the awareness that tells you that you are, because we all make mistakes. We all say things to our kids that we don't mean. We all stress out with them irrationally at times. So it's really important for you to consider what you're bringing to the party. And again, I say that because people will focus a lot on everything else. Well, I'm worried about if it's school, or it's pressure about this, or it's pressure about that. And yes, we do have to consider all the factors that are impacting on our children. But the place that you will get really good change and a really good insight is if you look internally and think, what am I bringing to the party? When they act like that, what do I do? How do I react? How do I feel? What might I then be projecting back onto them? Because they're projecting onto you. And this is something that we talk about in our course of anxiety is, you know, what is projection? How does it work? But actually, you know, you're projecting onto each other all the time. We all play games with each other. We all impact each other in different ways. But the only person we ultimately have control over is ourselves. So, and again, another thing I say to private clients, not just children, but also adults, it's not about blaming people. It is not for us to sit there and go, is that what your parents did or said? Oh, that's terrible. You know, that's not what it's about. And that's not often what children want to do. They don't want to look at who's to blame or who they can blame. And often what they'll do is internalise and blame themselves anyway. So it's not about blame. It's just about being realistic of what we're bringing to the party and saying, actually, is that helpful? Some of it might be, some of it might not. And just reflecting on your own stuff. Because, you know, we are, like I said in one of the videos, a lot of it's about connection. And when we're connecting with people, they're getting a part of us, we're projecting onto them, and vice versa. So it's really helpful for you to look internally, and rather than going into a panic when your child is anxious or something's happening and thinking, what is it? Is it this? Is it that? And trying to work it all out, just consider what you're bringing to that party. Okay, so that was just another little tip for you. I would really encourage you to I think there'll be a link above here, or I'll put it in the comments. It'll just be our website, and then it'll say stay in touch. It's just for our newsletter, but when you sign up to it, we'll send things in the newsletter when we've done blogs, or when we're going to go live, or if we've got any courses or anything like that, we'll send through to you. And if you sign up for our course, you'll get, I don't know if it's a video or a leaflet of some parenting tips, but also there's 2 audios on anxiety. I did them a while ago. So it might not be as in depth as what we'd maybe do now, but this should still be pretty useful. And there's quite a lot of information in there. So it's looking at anxiety, how to recognise it, and what you can do about it. So do sign up for our newsletter if you watch this in the above or in the comments, and we can keep you posted and stay in touch with what it is that we've got going on. So I hope that was helpful, and I'll speak to you soon.